So how much does it actually cost to buy a kiln, install it, and run ventilation? I feel like kilns are like the most intimidating part of pottery, so I'm gonna walk you through my entire kiln setup. I'm gonna tell you which kiln I went with, why I went with it, the ventilation I bought and how I set it up, as well as the electrical that I had to install in the studio and how much that cost. By the end, you'll have my full honest review on the kiln that I got from Skutt, as well as exactly what it cost me to build out my setup. So let's get into it. So after a lot of research, the kiln I decided to go with was the Skutt KMT 1227 3PK kiln with the 240 volt. And here she is. This kiln is massive. For size reference, look how far across I can reach. We can fit 4 full shelves in here. We have about 30 students per week that make 2 pieces a week, and one bisque fire gets all of their pieces, as well as whatever I create. So I'm very happy with the size of this kiln. And with all of my research, Skutt just came up as the most trusted brand. Their customer service was amazing. That's what everybody said. It was simple to put together. Instructions were very clear. And honestly, I haven't even had to talk to their customer support because everything has run so smoothly. Now, the other thing I want to talk about this kiln is the controller. As somebody who has no prior experience with kilns and no real desire to learn manual programming, I knew a controller was a must for me. So let me show you how simple it is to run a fire. Literally all I do is press home, begin, go to program, cone fire, and then if I am doing a cone, I do 04 and I do a preheat for 30 minutes. Speed is usually slow or medium for a bisque, and then all I do is press start. Then if I wanted to do a different cone, I usually do cone 6 for glaze fire, or it goes all the way up to cone 10, but I would literally just change the cone, save, and start. Now the other cool thing is that you can write your own program. So my program's here. Oh, I haven't written it on this kiln, but I had one program that I wrote that could take something from greenware all the way to a glaze fire, which isn't typically recommended, but it did work. So yeah, that's exactly how you use the controller. That's really all I've had to do. As far as the setup goes, it's delivered in pieces. You can see here all the different pieces so that you can get it through the door, set it up. And these are really heavy, so you definitely want at least 2 strong people to carry it in. I was not a part of this operation, but overall, if I could go back and choose another kiln, I would choose this exact same kiln, and I would always go with Skutt. I love it so much. Now let's talk about the ventilation. If you have a kiln this size, it has to be ventilated, especially in a space like this where there are no windows. It was so important. So this is the even heat ventilation system. I have another kiln over here, so I purchased this as well as the expansion pack. That just adds another kiln. They made it so easy. So basically how this works is I had to drill 3 holes in the top of my kiln right here, which was so scary. And then there is a couple holes, or maybe just 1 hole at the bottom. And then the ventilation system just hooks right up to the bottom, super easy. It's on a spring, so you just shove it under there and then it holds itself. I did have to hire somebody to ventilate this all the way that way because the space that I'm in, I am not connected to the outside. So above me is an apartment, to both sides are businesses, and to the back is a garage rental space that isn't mine. So we had to get permission to go through the other rental garage space and then up through the roof of their garage. So it goes all the way out and up the roof. Because we had to go so far and because they were very cautious, they did a special type of piping rather than what you actually need. They went a couple steps above that. So this was pretty pricey. I'll break it down in the numbers, but for a home pottery studio, or honestly even a business pottery studio, you could do this a lot cheaper than I did it for. The people I worked with just wanted to be very, very safe about it. Next, let's talk about electrical. That was another pricey project. But over here is the breaker and the electrical that's run. And this was pretty pricey for us because, as you can see, our main power source was in a separate unit. It's not in our unit. So we just had to run wire quite a ways away. All right, you've seen the kiln, you've got my opinion. Now let's talk numbers. How much did this actually cost? How much was the kiln itself, the wiring, the ventilation? Let's head to my office and break it down. Okay, so let's start with how much the kiln actually cost. So for just the kiln itself, including the controller, which I believe was about a $500 upgrade, the cost came to $6,315.75. I did get a discount of $10, which brings the total to $6,305.75. And then shipping was $169. And then tax was $442.10. That's actually crazy. So total, I paid for the kiln $6,916.85. Now for the ventilation system, for just the ventilation system itself without the expansion, I paid $621. For the expansion, I'll just throw in that cost. That was another $240, which brought my subtotal to $861. Shipping was only $9.18, which is pretty good. And then tax was $60.27, bringing the grand total for what I spent $930.45. Now, I thought running the electrical was going to be the most expensive part of this process, and boy was I wrong, because running the ventilation as far as they had to actually was really expensive. Now, again, just because it was this expensive for me doesn't mean it would be this expensive for somebody else trying to do this. You could even do this yourself if you had a wall that was exposed to the outside. I think it's actually pretty easy. The difference here is I'm in a commercial space, so legally I can't do that work myself. I have to hire a licensed contractor, and they really did choose to do everything extra safe, which I can appreciate, but they also didn't have to, even according to the city guidelines. So if I were to go back, I don't know if I would really change it, because it's always better to be on the safe end. When we had our inspection for it, they were all really impressed with how safe it was. But if you're trying to stay on a budget, you can push to use a cheaper piping tool. It will be okay. All right, so here's what it came out to. So to install owner-provided Orton Ventmaster fan along with accessories and connect to owner-provided kiln, the rate was $3,665. That's not even for the ventilation thing I purchased. That's just the labor to install it. Now for the electric. This is the invoice they sent me for the new conduit, wire, and breaker that matched my kiln. For material, it came out to $995.01, and for labor, it came out to $864, bringing the total that they quoted me to $1,859.01 with $60.48 in tax. Looking at the final invoice they sent, I ended up paying $1,977.07. So anyway, that concludes the expenses to install my Skutt 1227 kiln, and that brings our grand total to $13,199.92. Now, overall, I'm super happy with my kiln purchase, and I'm super happy that I'm done paying for it. Oh my gosh, I did have a savings account before I bought this kiln, and it absolutely drained it, but it's worked perfectly for the studio. I have no complaints. I haven't had any issues with it whatsoever, and it's been very user-friendly. Now, if you want a review and cost breakdown of my little kiln, which is a Skutt 614, let me know, because I think it is the perfect kiln to start with for an at-home potter. It was much cheaper to run the electrical for. It fits about 8 mugs in a glaze fire, and the firings are super quick. So if you want to see that, drop me a comment and I will create a video on that. And if you enjoyed this review and this video, please give it a like. Please subscribe to the channel. This is a brand new channel, so it helps more than you know. I also share a lot of pottery tutorials, and I'm sharing every bit of my journey opening a pottery studio, including the costs, income, expenses, all of that good jazz. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.